Imagine being betrayed by your own family, cast aside in search of a treasure that could change everything. But what if the true power wasn't in the riches, but in the heart of the one they tried to destroy? This is the story of Zuri, a girl who turned her family's fate around, against all odds. In the village of Akombo, there lived a young girl named Zuri. She was known for her kindness, intelligence, and unshakable belief in helping others. Zuri's mother, Bintu, had remarried after the death of her first husband, and her new husband, Seifu, was a wealthy but stern man. While Seifu had high expectations and ran his household with a firm hand, he was distant and often cold towards Zuri. However, her mother Bintu always believed in her potential. She would often tell Zuri that she was destined for greatness and that the world would one day see her true worth. Zuri, despite the challenges at home, carried herself with grace and humility, always working hard to help those around her. However, her new family didn't share her mother's faith in her. Zuri's stepbrother, Dumi, and stepsister, Jaya, were nothing like her. They were envious of her natural beauty and intelligence, resenting the love and attention their mother seemed to shower upon her. Instead of supporting Zuri, Dumi and Jaya constantly found ways to make her life harder, trying to ruin her reputation in front of others. They spread lies about her and made sure she was blamed for things that weren't her fault. The tension in the household was palpable, and it wasn't just confined to Zuri's family. The village itself, Akombo, was struggling. Their crops weren't growing as they should, and their resources were dwindling. What the villagers didn't know was that beneath Zuri's family's land lay a hidden treasure, an artifact that had been passed down through generations, rumored to hold the power to bring prosperity and restore the village's fortunes. But Zuri had no idea about this secret, and her family was unaware of the treasure's existence as well. While Zuri worked hard to make her family proud, Dumi and Jaya were already scheming to find the treasure for themselves. They saw the opportunity to secure their own futures and gain the wealth that had eluded them. But they knew Zuri would be in their way. Her goodness, her generosity, and her growing bond with the villagers were all things they couldn't stand, because they knew deep down that Zuri was the one who would unlock the family's legacy, not them. They began doing everything in their power to undermine her, making her look unfit to lead, planting seeds of doubt in her mother's mind, and trying to sabotage her any chance they got. As the story begins, Zuri is blissfully unaware of the treasure lying beneath her family's land. She continues to live her life, trying to do right by her family and the people of Akombo, while Dumi and Jaya's jealousy grows stronger each day. The stage is set for an epic battle of wills, and Zuri's journey to uncover the truth and the treasure has only just begun. But the road ahead will be filled with obstacles, betrayal, and a battle for her destiny that she could never have imagined. Zuri had always felt a deep connection with nature. The trees, the rivers, the animals. They spoke to her in ways that no one else seemed to understand. She had a rare wisdom, something that came naturally to her. And it wasn't just her knowledge of nature that made her special. Zuri's heart was as generous as her mind. She gave whatever she had to the poor villagers who lived around her, whether it was food, water, or even just a listening ear. Her kindness earned her the respect and love of everyone in the village, even though her own family couldn't seem to see it. But Zuri's stepbrother, Dumi, and stepsister, Jaya, were determined to break her spirit. They couldn't stand how everyone loved Zuri. Dumi went to great lengths to spread lies about her, telling people that she was lazy and incapable, trying to tarnish her reputation. He'd tell the villagers that Zuri didn't work hard, that she was always slacking off. Jaya, not one to stay behind, took her jealousy to a new level. She would deliberately hide Zuri's work, making sure she'd be blamed for mistakes she didn't make. Whether it was food that went missing, tools that were misplaced, or chores left unfinished, Jaya always made sure Zuri took the fall. And sadly, it worked, at least for a while. Despite the relentless sabotage, Zuri's spirit remained unbroken. Each time her step-siblings tried to bring her down, she only grew stronger. She continued to believe in her mother's teachings. That strength lay in the heart and the mind, not in the cruel words of others. Even though her family seemed to be falling apart, with Sifu growing more distant and her mother unable to stop the tension, Zuri kept going. She knew the truth of who she was and refused to let anyone make her feel small. One day, the village faced a crisis. The crops had failed, and a food shortage threatened the people of Akombo. The situation grew desperate, and the villagers didn't know how they would survive. It was in this moment of crisis that Zuri stepped up. With her deep understanding of nature, she had always known that the village's food problem wasn't just a matter of planting crops. It was about understanding the land, respecting it, and working with it. Zuri suggested a new method of farming that she had learned from studying the old ways. She didn't ask for approval or permission. She simply set to work, gathering the villagers and teaching them what she knew. Her plan was simple but effective, and slowly but surely, the village began to see the results. Zuri's wisdom and generosity paid off, and the food shortage started to ease. The villagers began to realize that Zuri was not just a kind girl, she was someone who could make real change happen. But even in this moment of triumph, Dumi and Jaya could not stand to see her succeed. They were furious that Zuri had once again proven her worth, and their jealousy grew even stronger. Despite their efforts to drag her down, Zuri continued to rise above it all, her heart and mind focused on the well-being of her village. The seeds of her eventual triumph were being sown, and she knew that no matter how hard they tried, Dumi and Jaya would never be able to break her. As Zuri continued to work hard for the village, something deep inside her told her that there was more to her family's story than she had been told. One day, while going through some old belongings in the house, she stumbled upon a series of letters from her late father. The letters were filled with cryptic messages and hints that suggested he had hidden something valuable beneath their land. Zuri's heart raced as she read the words. Her father, a man of great wisdom and foresight, had left behind clues about a treasure buried deep within their family's ancestral land. Treasure that had the power to bring prosperity and change the fate of their struggling family forever. But there was one problem. Sefu, her stepfather, was too proud and stubborn to believe in the treasure or in Zuri's potential to uncover it. He had always dismissed her ideas, thinking that a young girl couldn't possibly solve such a complex mystery. He remained focused on his wealth and reputation, refusing to see that his new wife's daughter might hold the key to the family's future. Zuri knew her stepfather was too blinded by pride to accept that she could be the one to lead them to this treasure. Meanwhile, Dumi and Jaya, Zuri's envious step-sibling, had their own plans. They had secretly learned about the treasure through a hidden map they discovered in the old family chest. The idea of a hidden fortune was too tempting for them to ignore, and they immediately began plotting to find it without Zuri's help. They believed that if they could find the treasure first, they could take it for themselves, leaving Zuri out of the equation. They knew the treasure was meant to bring prosperity, but they didn't want to share it with Zuri. In their minds, she was just an obstacle to their dreams of wealth and power. While Dumi and Jaya schemed behind her back, Zuri began to notice strange signs around the land, old landmarks she had passed by every day, things that suddenly made sense in light of her father's clues. Slowly, she started to connect the dots. The old oak tree her father had planted, the patterns in the rocks by the river, and even the hidden messages in the family's heirlooms seemed to point towards something larger. Zuri began to believe that her father had left the treasure specifically for her to find, as if he had known that one day she would be the one to uncover it. Her belief in her family's legacy grew stronger with each new discovery. Zuri realized that the treasure wasn't just about wealth, it was a symbol of the family's potential, a legacy meant to be passed down to the one who could bring the family together and lead them to greatness. But the more Zuri learned, the more she understood that she wasn't just fighting against her step-siblings' jealousy, she was fighting to reclaim her family's honor, to prove that she was the one who could change everything, despite the doubts and sabotage from those who wanted to see her fail. Zuri knew that the treasure was the key to unlocking not only her family's future, but her own destiny. Zuri's journey to uncover her father's hidden treasure began in a way that felt almost mystical. It all started with vivid dreams, dreams that seemed to guide her every step. In these dreams, her father's voice echoed, urging her to follow the signs that would lead her to something greater. She couldn't ignore it. The clues, scattered through her father's letters, pointed to a location deep in the forest near the village's sacred river. This was it. The treasure wasn't just a figment of her imagination. It was real, and it was waiting for her to find it. With a sense of purpose that she had never felt before, Zuri set off on her quest. As she ventured deeper into the forest, the path grew more treacherous. Dangerous animals lurked in the shadows, and the weather turned against her. Heavy rain, strong winds, and the constant threat of storms made each step feel like a battle. The villagers, too, began to grow suspicious of her. They had always seen her as the kind, helpful girl, but now with her determination to follow the signs, they whispered among themselves. What was she really after? Why was she so intent on going into the depths of the forest alone? The whispers only fueled Zuri's resolve, but they also made her feel isolated, as though the whole world was against her. But the true threat didn't come from the villagers or the wild animals. It came from Dumi and Jaya. They were determined to see her fail, to stop her from finding what they believed should belong to them. Every time Zuri got close to a clue, they would sabotage her efforts, sending her on false trails, misleading her with lies, and even creating obstacles in her path. Dumi would spread rumors that the forest was cursed, trying to scare her into turning back, while Jaya would quietly steal pieces of her map when she wasn't looking. Their jealousy was consuming, but Zuri's spirit was unbreakable. She refused to let their treachery stop her. Then, just when Zuri thought she might be completely lost, she met someone who changed everything. In the heart of the forest, hidden away in a small hut, Zuri encountered Amma, an old herbalist who had lived in the village for as long as anyone could remember. Amma was a wise woman, deeply connected to the land and its history. She had heard the whispers of Zuri's journey and had waited for the right moment to cross her path. When Zuri told Amma about her dreams and the clues she had uncovered, the old woman smiled knowingly. She explained to Zuri that the village's true treasure wasn't gold or jewels, but an ancient artifact, long hidden, that held the power to restore prosperity to the land. Amma taught Zuri about the village's lost history, how the ancestors had hidden the artifact to protect it from invaders, and how only someone with pure intentions could find it. Zuri realized that her father had known all along what the village needed, a symbol of unity and strength, not material wealth. The treasure was meant to be a beacon of hope, something that would remind the people of Okombo of their shared heritage and their potential to rebuild together. With Amma's guidance, Zuri finally understood that her quest wasn't just about finding a hidden object, it was about bringing her village back to life. Armed with new knowledge, Zuri set her sights on the sacred river once again, determined to complete the journey her father had started. The path ahead was still filled with challenges, but now Zuri felt more prepared than ever to face them. She wasn't just seeking a treasure, she was seeking a future for her village, and she would stop at nothing to uncover it. The tension between Zuri and her step-siblings reached a boiling point when Dumi and Jaya finally confronted her face to face. Their jealousy had been growing, and they could no longer stand to see Zuri moving forward with the quest they believed was theirs. Dumi, with his sharp words and cold demeanor, told Zuri that she would never succeed in finding the treasure. He claimed that it was always meant to be his, and Jaya's, not hers. "You'll fail," he sneered. "The treasure was never for you. You were just a distraction. We are the rightful heirs, not you." Jaya, always the more cunning of the two, added to Dumi's taunts, trying to deceive Zuri into abandoning the quest altogether. She whispered lies, telling Zuri that the treasure didn't even exist, that it was just a myth. They painted the path ahead as dangerous and pointless, hoping to make Zuri doubt herself and turn back. But they underestimated Zuri's resilience. Her heart, though heavy with betrayal, remained unshaken. She knew that the treasure wasn't about gold or jewels. It was about restoring her people's hope, their unity, and the very future of the village. It was a mission far greater than her step-siblings' petty desire for wealth. Zuri refused to let their cruel words break her spirit. She stood tall, her eyes filled with determination. "I will not give up," she said, her voice firm. "The true treasure lies in my connection with the land and the people of Okombo. No matter what you say, I will finish this journey. It's not just for me, it's for all of us." With those words, Zuri made the difficult decision to continue the quest alone, refusing to let Dumi and Jaya drag her down any further. As Zuri set out once again on her journey, something incredible began to happen. The villagers, who had once been skeptical of her, started to rally behind her. They saw how much she had endured, how her strength had never faltered, despite the constant betrayal and sabotage. They began to believe in her vision for the village's future. One by one, they came to Zuri's aid, bringing her food when she was hungry, offering shelter when the weather grew harsh, and providing guidance when she felt lost. The villagers saw that Zuri was the key to their revival, and they knew that by helping her, they were helping themselves. This outpouring of support was more than just practical help. It was a sign that Zuri had earned the trust and respect of the very people she had spent her life helping. She wasn't alone anymore. The villagers, who had once whispered doubts, now stood by her side, ready to support her in whatever way they could. They knew that Zuri was their hope, their future. Her unwavering faith in the mission had inspired them to believe in themselves again. Zuri's journey had gone from a solitary quest to a collective effort, and she felt the weight of her responsibility more than ever. With the villagers behind her, she pressed forward, determined to uncover the treasure and prove that the true wealth of her family was not in riches, but in unity, faith, and the strength of community. The road ahead was still uncertain, but now she knew she wasn't walking it alone. Zuri stood at the edge of the sacred river, her heart pounding with excitement and nerves. She had followed the map to this very spot, deep in the forest, where an ancient temple lay hidden beneath the overgrown vines and trees. The air around her felt charged with history, as if the land itself was waiting for her to unlock its secrets. This was the final step in her quest, the moment she had worked so hard for. The treasure her father had left her was not gold or jewels, but something much more profound. As Zuri approached the temple, she found herself facing a set of riddles carved into the stone. Her father's legacy, the clues he had left behind, were more than just physical hints. They were meant to test her mind, her heart, and her connection to the land. Zuri had always been wise beyond her years, but now, as the weight of her family's future rested on her shoulders, she could feel the pressure. She took a deep breath, recalling all the lessons her father had taught her. She solved the first riddle, then the second, each answer coming to her with increasing clarity. With each correct solution, the temple doors creaked open, revealing the artifact hidden inside. But just as she was about to step into the temple, she heard footsteps behind her. Dumi and Jaya arrived, their faces twisted with anger and desperation. They had followed her all this way, determined to stop her from claiming the treasure they believed should be theirs. "You think you're worthy of this? You think you can save this village?" Dumi sneered, stepping forward with his hands clenched into fists. Jaya, ever the schemer, tried to convince Zuri that the artifact was dangerous, that it would bring nothing but ruin. "You don't know what you're doing, Zuri," she hissed. "This is all a lie. We should have it, not you." In a moment of pure frustration, Dumi and Jaya tried to destroy the artifact, hoping to end the quest once and for all. They rushed toward the ancient relic with the intention to shatter it, but Zuri, fueled by her belief in her family and the village's future, stood firm. She knew that this was her destiny, that this artifact was more than just a symbol. It was a key to the revival of Okombo. "Stop!" Zuri shouted, her voice steady and strong. "This is for all of us, not just me. This artifact isn't for wealth, it's for the prosperity of the village. If you destroy it, you destroy our future." The confrontation was tense, but Zuri's resolve was unwavering. As Dumi and Jaya hesitated, unsure of what to do next, Zuri reached for the artifact. The moment her fingers touched it, a warm glow surrounded her, and she felt a surge of energy. The artifact was not a golden idol, but a powerful symbol of leadership, unity, and knowledge. It was a gift from her ancestors, one that held the power to transform the village's agriculture, improve trade routes, and bring prosperity through sustainable practices. Zuri realized that it was her wisdom, her connection to the land, and her belief in the strength of the people of Okombo that would unlock its full potential. The artifact was a blueprint for change, a guide for rebuilding the village. It wasn't about instant wealth. It was about long-term growth and success, something that could be passed down through generations. Zuri's heart swelled with pride as she understood the true power of the artifact. It wasn't just a piece of treasure, it was the key to her village's future. With the support of the villagers and the strength of her own heart, Zuri would lead them into a new era of prosperity. And as for Dumi and Jaya, they would come to understand that true wealth was not in what you could take, but in what you could build together. The tension in the air was thick as Zuri returned to Okombo, the artifact glowing brightly in her hands. Dumi and Jaya, once so sure of their own superiority, were now on the brink of ruin. They had tried to deceive Zuri, thinking they could take the treasure for themselves, but the artifact had rejected them completely. It had only responded to Zuri, recognizing her pure heart and leadership qualities. No matter how hard they tried, it would not obey their greedy hands. The villagers watched in awe as Zuri stepped into the village square, her eyes steady with determination. She had done it. She had uncovered the true treasure, and with it, she would bring prosperity to the village. Dumi and Jaya's efforts had failed, and their lies were exposed for all to see. They tried to argue, But the truth was undeniable. Zuri was the one chosen to lead. Her stepfather, Sefu, stood at the edge of the crowd, his expression filled with regret. He had never believed in Zuri, dismissing her as just another daughter in a family torn by conflict. He had placed his faith in Dumi, thinking he was the one worthy of the family's legacy. But as Zuri stood before him, holding the artifact that could change their lives forever, Sefu realized the mistake he had made. His eyes softened with the weight of his realization. With a deep sigh, Sefu approached Zuri. "I was blind," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I see now that you were always the one meant to lead this family. You have the strength, the wisdom, and the heart to make us thrive. I am sorry for ever doubting you." Zuri smiled, but there was no pride in her expression. She had never sought his approval. Her journey had always been about helping her people, not seeking validation from those who had tried to tear her down. As the villagers cheered, Zuri knew her journey had only just begun. The artifact was not just a symbol of power, it was a tool for change. Zuri now had the responsibility to restore the land, bring prosperity to the people, and guide them towards a future of unity and success. Dumi and Jaya, on the other hand, were left to face the consequences of their actions. They had tried to destroy the family from within, but their envy and greed had only led to their downfall. With the truth exposed, the villagers no longer trusted them. Their once high position in the family was gone, and they had nowhere left to turn. The curse of envy had consumed them, and now they were left to watch as Zuri, the true heir, rose to take her rightful place. Zuri stood tall, her heart filled with both gratitude and determination. She had overcome the trials, the betrayal, and the hardship to reach this point. Her rise was not just about the artifact, it was about her unwavering belief in the people of Akombo and her desire to see them flourish. The village would thrive under her leadership, and together they would build a future stronger than any treasure could offer. The transformation of the village was nothing short of miraculous. Zuri, with the artifact in hand, set to work right away. She used the ancient knowledge it held to teach the villagers new farming methods, sustainable techniques that would ensure they never faced hunger again. Fields that once lay barren began to bloom with crops. The villagers were amazed as they saw the land, once dry and unyielding, come alive with the promise of abundance. But Zuri didn't stop there. She knew that prosperity wasn't just about the land, it was also about the people. She worked tirelessly to improve trade routes, connecting Akombo with neighboring villages and opening doors to new markets. The villagers now had access to goods and resources they'd never dreamed of before. But perhaps her most lasting impact was on the children. Zuri established educational programs, teaching the young ones not only the ways of the land, but also the importance of wisdom, compassion, and hard work. The future of Akombo was no longer uncertain, it was bright and full of possibility. As the village began to flourish, the villagers recognized Zuri for who she truly was. They crowned her their leader, not out of obligation, but out of respect and admiration. Zuri had proven herself time and again, not just by uncovering the artifact, but by showing her dedication to the well-being of everyone around her. Under her leadership, the village thrived. Zuri brought unity, healing the rift between her family and the villagers. She ruled with strength, but more importantly, with compassion and wisdom, always thinking of what was best for the people she served. Dumi and Jaya, on the other hand, found themselves cast out from the village. Their greed and envy had led to their undoing. They had sought to tear Zuri down, to claim what wasn't theirs, but in the end, they only destroyed themselves. With no place left to turn, they wandered aimlessly, far from the village they had once thought they could control. It didn't take long for them to realize the hard truth, that true wealth wasn't in riches, but in generosity and integrity. They learned, though too late, that the path of greed leads to nothing but emptiness. Zuri, on the other hand, stood tall as a beacon of hope and strength. The village was no longer just a place, it was a community united in progress. Zuri's leadership was the heart of Okombo's transformation. As the sun set over the now thriving land, the villagers gathered around her, knowing that under her guidance, they had a future full of promise. The treasure that Zuri had uncovered wasn't just a symbol of power, it was a reminder of the true value of unity, kindness, and integrity. The story of Zuri comes to a close, leaving behind a powerful message about humility and resilience. Zuri's journey wasn't about searching for gold or jewels. but about discovering the true value of what lies within. Her unwavering belief in herself, even in the face of betrayal and hardship, proved that one person's goodness could indeed change the fate of an entire community. She was a beacon of strength, not because she had wealth, but because she had heart. The lesson Zuri teaches is one of humility. Despite all the challenges she faced, she never once let pride cloud her path. She didn't seek to prove herself to others. She simply lived with integrity, always focused on helping her people. Her ability to forgive, to stay grounded, and to put the needs of others before her own is a reminder to all that true greatness doesn't come from taking what's not yours, but from lifting others up. Zuri's legacy became a symbol of what can happen when you lead with kindness, wisdom, and a deep connection to your roots. Her story reminded the villagers and the viewers that real treasure isn't found in material wealth, but in the relationships you build and the impact you make on those around you. The changes she brought to her village weren't just about better crops or trade routes. They were about creating a community where people cared for each other and worked together for a brighter future. In the end, Zuri's life stands as proof that the best treasures are not buried in the ground, but in the hearts of those who lead with compassion. It's not the treasure you find that makes you rich, Zuri's story tells us, but the way you share it with those who need it most. By sharing her wisdom, her knowledge, and her love for her village, Zuri changed everything. Her story is a call to all of us to look beyond the surface and find the true wealth that exists in kindness, humility, and community. As we reach the end of Zuri's incredible journey, let's take a moment to reflect on the powerful lessons she has taught us. Zuri's strength, kindness, and unwavering belief in herself and her community remind us that the true treasures of life are found not in gold or jewels, but in our connections, our compassion, and the goodness we share with others. She showed us that no matter how hard the path may seem, resilience and humility can lead to greatness. If Zuri's story touched your heart and inspired you, please take a moment to like this video and share it with others who might need a little spark of hope and inspiration today. By sharing this story, you're helping to spread the message of kindness and the importance of community. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales that remind us all of the power we hold to change the world, one kind act at a time. Thank you for being part of this journey with us. Your support means everything, and we're so grateful for each of you. Together, we can make the world a better place, just like Zuri did.